Well, Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler counting down the days now. In 3 weeks, he will be the ex-mayor, having served as mayor of Oregon's largest city since 2017. Before that, he was the Oregon State Treasurer, and he was chair of the Multnomah County Commission. A sixth-generation Oregonian, Mayor Wheeler's great-grandfather, a lumber industry executive, founded the town of Wheeler on the northern Oregon coast. Well, this may be the last time I get to call you Mr. Mayor, so thanks for coming on Eye on Northwest Politics.
Thanks, Ken. It's good to see you again.
Well, we sat in these same chairs about a year ago, and shortly after you announced you were not going to run for a third term, this is what you told me then.
During my tenure, our city, like other cities around the country, have faced an unprecedented number of very serious crises, and I'll be honest, I'm a little bit burned out.
Burned out. How do you feel now that the time is almost here?
Well, I'm still a little bit burned out, and I'm on one hand looking forward to turning the page and going on to the next chapter of my life. I've had a good run, but it's been a long run. I've been in elective office now for 18 years. I did not expect to spend that much time in politics, and I think it's time for new people with new energy, new ideas to come in and take up from where I'm leaving off.
What do you plan to do now?
Well, that's not entirely clear. I mean, in the near term, I want to spend a little more time with my family and with my loved ones. I want to take a little time off to recuperate, if you will, re-energize. But people who know me know I'm very impatient. I have a short attention span. I'm not going to be sitting around being idle for very long. I give myself maybe 6 weeks before I jump into something new. And we'll just have to wait and see what that turns out to be.
You spent much of your life in public office, so is there any possibility that at some time in the future you would run for something again?
I just don't know. I can't predict the future. I didn't predict COVID. I didn't predict the global shutdown. I didn't predict fentanyl or meth. So I'm not really sure I'm sitting here in a position to be able to tell you what the future holds. But I probably will not be in politics. I'll still be very much engaged in the community. There's a lot of good projects like MLB and the James Beard Market, and other things I'd like to help see through as a private citizen. But elective politics, I'm not particularly looking forward to or eager to jump back into that anytime soon.
In what many saw as a surprise, businessman Keith Wilson will succeed you as mayor. You've been working with him on the transition to the new form of government, along with interim city administrator Michael Jordan, who will stay on for another year. Here's what Mayor-elect Wilson told us right after he was elected.
Our city is at an inflection point. I think this new council and the new form of government is going to allow us to supercharge change. The new mayor now doesn't have to do the politics or the policy. I get to focus on delivering core values core services well.
Well, you've been working with him on the transition of government to the new government. What do you think will be Mayor-elect Wilson's biggest challenge coming in 2025?
He'll have the same challenge I did. It's a steep learning curve. You can't anticipate what's going to happen. You can't anticipate what crises you will be in charge of managing. There's a lot of great opportunities for the city of Portland. We have MLB in the offing. I do believe Portland will be awarded an MLB franchise. We have the OMSI master plan, the Keller Auditorium redo. Obviously, the James Beard Market is something I'm really supportive of. Keith will have to be in a position to help collaborate, work with other governments, work with the city council, work with entities within the community to help see those things through. And so my goal is to help him transition well into the mayor's office. He actually has an office right next to mine. His staff is there. We're collaborating. We're working together. We're introducing him to the city leadership. And I want to make sure that on January 1st, I can just toss the keys across the table and he can take it from there.
How are you involved in the transition? What is that looking like right now?
Well, I personally spend a lot of time with the mayor-elect, but also starting all the way back in July, I took all of the bureaus over and I put them under my interim city administrator, Mike Jordan, and a team of deputy city administrators who are actually running the city on a day-to-day basis. And I want him to feel comfortable with the model that we've established. The new city council will come into a government that is up and running. It's operational. We also want to make sure that he has the opportunity to meet all of the people who currently are leading our city bureaus, meet as many of our 7,000 employees as he possibly can in this short time span. But what I want him to know more than anything else is the programs, the initiatives, the leadership we've brought in, the funding we've put into place, the collaborations we've built with the private sector and with government. They are working. We're addressing crime, which is way down in the city of Portland, homelessness, which we are addressing, livability issues are getting much better, economic recovery, the data is all very positive. I want him to build on the momentum that we've created and put his own touch on it, and working with the city council, I'm sure they'll take it from here and do a really good job.
We still have the issue with the central city, though, and the high office vacancy rate. A lot of those workers who left during the pandemic are not coming back, and that's creating some pressure on the tax revenues downtown. How do we get over that?
Yeah, there's no question about it. Portland was disproportionately impacted by the economic shutdown related to COVID for two reasons. First of all, our economy is very tech-oriented, very creative-oriented, and those are the jobs that are easiest to move to virtual types of work situations. The second issue is if you compare Portland to, say, a city like Boston, Boston's central city recovered so much more quickly than ours did because people live there. They have housing interspersed throughout their business areas, throughout their commercial districts. And so people already live there. They can support the restaurants, the bars, the retail establishments in those areas. Whereas our central city is largely just office towers. And as you pointed out, Ken, and this was a really important point you made, our tax base at the city of Portland is heavily reliant on property taxes. And as the value of those office towers goes down, as they remain unoccupied, the revenues from property taxes also decline. And that's going to be a real challenge for this new mayor and the new city council.
Can all that square footage be repurposed in some way?
Not all of it, but some of it can. I think the key to reigniting, if you will, or creating more foot traffic in the central city is actually going to be through housing and targeted commercial. I don't think it's going to be office space, to be perfectly honest. And I know there's a number of private sector building owners and operators who are actually looking at ways to convert some of that office space into housing.
In October, you said that city bureaus and departments should consider making 5 to 8% budget cuts. And we just reported in our political headlines about the $27 million projected shortfall. In your request, public safety like police, fire, emergency communications would be exempted. How serious is the city's financial situation now? And why sound the alarm now?
Yeah, in the short term, it's not all that serious. I know that 27 million sounds like a lot. The city's budget is actually $8 billion. About $800 million of that is actually discretionary spending, but it will have an impact. Most of our costs are employee-based costs. A lot of the revenues we have are specifically tailored to certain types of programs, and the city council can't change that or impact it. But the concern is really longer term. In the near term, I think we can protect public safety, police, fire, emergency management. I hope the council will continue to protect the programs we've put into place to address broader criminal activity like gun violence, like retail theft, like auto theft. And those numbers have improved significantly in recent years, but also support the livability programs like Portland Solutions that addresses litter and graffiti. I've heard every day how much things have improved on that front, and it's really important that the City Council find the resources to continue to build on the momentum that we've already created in those programs.
Mr. Mayor, Portland's reputation, and by extension your reputation as mayor, took a big hit in 2020 during the George Floyd demonstrations. President Trump, who will return to the White House in January, targeted Portland as a place where liberals, he said, destroyed the city. Federal troops were sent in to, quote, restore order against the wishes of local officials like yourself. With the benefit of hindsight now, would you have done anything differently during those times, and how did that spring and summer affect you?
Well, first of all, the story hasn't been written yet on 2020. I think most of people's perceptions of 2020 and what happened there are still superficial. There's a lot of self-serving coverage out there. People don't know why I was there. I was actually there because an editorial board of a reasonably conservative publication said I needed to go down and meet with people face to face and talk to them and hear their concerns. And I went, and I did listen, and I stood in front of a wall with their demands. And there were thousands of people there, and one of those demands was for me to resign. So I want people to know I walked right into the lion's den because I felt it was important for people to see me, to hear me, to be present for the community at a time when people were very divided, very angry, and, dare I say it, scared. What would I have done differently? I'm not sure I can sit here even today and tell you what might have been different. I watched our police bureau under withering circumstances engage significantly through kettling and other tactics. I saw them engage by not engaging because they felt that since the George Floyd protests were against the police, their interaction might actually make things worse. And I saw them encourage people in Black Bloc to sit down with them and have a conversation directly. So the police bureau tried many different tactics over many different nights, and the result was largely the same. I think what I wish had happened was people could have made the same differentiation that I was between people who were protesting peacefully out there with their families demanding more accountability and some basic police reforms versus people who were there clearly to commit acts of criminal destruction and violence. I was able to make that differentiation early on, but I frankly think it took the community a little bit longer to see that we were talking about two fundamentally different groups who needed fundamentally different responses.
Was it unfair of the national media to paint Portland as this cesspool of violence, actually?
I think it's important to know who was painting the city of Portland in that light and what they had to gain from it. And you mentioned Donald Trump. I don't really speak about him that often. I'm not trying to pick a fight with the incoming president. I don't think we should. But as recently as August, he told a national audience that Portland is a burned out former hulk of a city. And anybody who's spent any time here knows that is just fundamentally untrue.
You know, this had an effect on your personal life, too. I mean, you had a condo in Northwest Portland. There were demonstrations outside. You ended up leaving that condo. You were married at the time. You're not now. Just talk about how that affected you personally, that period of time and the fallout from it.
Yeah, it's a strange thing being a pariah. I was born and raised in this community. I have plenty of friends here, plenty of support. And so it was strange to find myself being a true pariah in the community. I had people on the far right saying I was a member of Antifa, and they selectively showed shots from that time I went down to meet with the protesters as proof that I was an Antifa standing at the gate attacking the federal building. And then I had people on the far left, those who actually were in Antifa, calling me a clone of Donald Trump. So we had sort of these two completely divergent views of who I was. It was hard to have my home firebombed, to have my daughter threatened and chased to school, to have my tires slashed, to have people standing in front of my house. On some nights it would be people on the far left, on other nights it would be people holding rifles in front of my daughter's bedroom window. Nobody should have to put up with that. And frankly, when I took office, I said, well, this all just comes with the territory. And I thought of it in that light. But with time, I've come to realize it doesn't come with the territory. It's not the right place to adjudicate differences of public policy. We have city council, we have chambers, we have open communications, and I encourage people to use those tools and not resort to violence when it comes to political differences. And I underscore this point, Ken, because I think we're entering a very dangerous phase here in America where people are starting to accept violence as a means of solving political differences. And the shooting in New York City, to me, is sort of recent example A.
The healthcare executive.
Yes, of how we're starting to walk down this path of justifying violence if we think it's on our side of a political issue. We cannot go there. And so if there's anything I learned in 2020, it's keep the microphones open, encourage people to sit down and talk, and try to hear what people are saying. If they have legitimate differences, well, we can talk about that. But if people just want to engage in criminal destruction and violence, we have a police car for that too.
Does this political climate have any relation to your decision not to run again?
No, honestly, my decision is personal. I thought about it for a brief moment, but the truth is, and I'm not afraid to tell people this, I am burned out. I need time away. I need to recharge my batteries. I need to turn the page, and I'd frankly like to do something different. I've been in politics now for 18 years. That's a lot longer than I thought I would be in elective office. I still want to serve the community. I'll still be involved in the community. But I think it's time for me to turn this over to a next generation of people who have more energy, more ideas, who want to build on the work that we've done and take it potentially in new and exciting directions.
We've only got a couple minutes left. The time has gone by really quickly, but I want to talk about the reversal of Measure 110 through House Bill 4002. It took effect in September, and so street drugs are now recriminalized. Deflection centers are being established in all 3 of the counties right now. What do you think that did, that reversal of 110 did, and does that put us back on the right path to actually handle the fentanyl crisis?
I think it is critically important that we slowed things down. Until you have the treatment in place, until you have detox and sobering in place, it makes absolutely no sense to eliminate the criminal sanctions. All that does is encourage dealers to set up shop in your community. More people get addicted, and then there's nowhere to send them to get help to help them overcome those addictions. That's what we saw happening, and it happened very quickly. So I support those reforms. The deflection center appears to be working really well. The police are, in fact, referring people to deflection. People are taking up the offer to actually communicate with people who can help them with their addictions. And we need to lean into that. But we still need more actual sobering and detox facilities, and those should be coming online before too long.
Less than 30 seconds here, but the new system of government, good thing, bad thing?
I think ultimately it's good. Look, criminal activity is way down, crime statistics are improving, homelessness is getting better, livability circumstances are getting better. We need the next mayor and council to lean into the programs we created around public safety, homelessness, livability, and economic recovery, and then continue to build upon that good momentum that we already have in place.
Mayor Ted Wheeler, thank you very much for being here on Eye on Northwest Politics, and best of luck to you in your future endeavors.
Thank you, Ken. I appreciate it very much.
Yes, it's been great to talk to you.
Thank you.